Week 7 in the NFL and a lot of bonus content. We're talking UFC 280. Big week, big video, lots of money to be made, but we got to move quick. I know you guys got stuff to do. Let's move through it. Last week, I don't want to talk about the Bucs. It's like we don't talk about Bruno or the Buccaneers. We're in Canto. That's how that analogy goes. How do you lose to Pittsburgh? We were looking really good. We hit that Bengals bet last week. Everything was fine until Tom Brady couldn't figure his shit out. God, I hate him. What are you going to do? Down 3 units on the year in football, but everything else went really well. We just happened to have them as an anchor team and had them parlayed into almost everything last week. If that just hit -2.5, we would have been rolling in the dough. We're back this week with another anchor team. So we'll go through the NFL picks. We have one huge play. I'll give you a Thursday night play. If you watch the video when it comes out, you get the Thursday night, no sweat, same game parlay. FanDuel Sportsbook lets you do a $50 bet. If it's plus 400 or better and you lose, you get your money back in a free bet. It's pretty good, and we've been hitting a lot of them. So we have that. We have our anchor team, a bunch of picks. We'll do fantasy football, deep options for people that are really desperate, and then we'll go through the UFC 280 picks for this weekend. I have a bunch that I like. For football, we have 10.5 units on the line, a bunch of bets. This one doesn't count towards our unit count, and we won't count it towards our profits either, but I want to hit it for you. The Thursday night game, I feel good about the Cardinals. Why? Couldn't tell you. But they have to beat the Saints. I like taking the quarterback matchup. You guys know this by now. If I have an advantage at quarterback, I really feel good. I don't feel good about Dalton on the road. I did this last week, and I took Burrow over Dalton, and it worked out. Sweated it out, but it worked out. So this week, for Thursday night, Cardinals moneyline home against the Saints. They get Hopkins back. I think that has to matter. They get Robbie Anderson to replace Marquise Brown. Hopefully he can stretch the field for Hopkins enough to get open. They'll probably pepper him with 1 million targets. So we're parlaying him 50-plus yards with the Cardinals money line, and first half under 21.5 in that Saints-Cardinals game. Because Thursday Night Football is a recipe for the under always, and anytime in prime time I can get a first half under that's more than 21, chef's kiss. So you parlay those three together, plus 408, it reaches the plus 400 threshold for your $50 no sweat parlay on FanDuel Sportsbook. They should pay me for this, but they don't. The anchor team this week is very obvious. Don't overthink this one. Monday Night Football, Patriots versus Bears. The Bears are horrible. They don't complete passes. Justin Fields can't complete a pass. He's not confident in his ability or his receivers or his play calling. You see guys open down the field that he just doesn't throw to, and now he's going on the road in prime time to face Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick against a quarterback that's young. He dominates rookie quarterbacks, by the way. He's not a rookie, but it still counts. And they have an unbelievable defense, and he doesn't complete passes. This is not going to be hard for the Patriots to solve. So I do have the Patriots in parlays, but I didn't want to just parlay one thing for huge odds. So I have them in 3 different parlays for 2 units each. And we're going with Patriots -2.5 instead of the 7.5. We're parlaying the Patriots -2.5 against the Bears with the Bengals money line against the Falcons. Falcons are undefeated against the spread this year, which scares me. They hang around, and they are pretty good. And I wouldn't even hate if you took the Falcons in a pool to cover. But Bengals money line, they really should take care of business. They are so much more talented on both sides of the ball. They haven't unlocked perfectly how to get this offense going, but I think at the end of last week when they had that comeback against the Saints and Chase had that big play, that might have been the moment that unlocked it, and I think you might see them score a lot against the Falcons at home this week. Better quarterback, take care of business. Patriots -2.5 against the Bears on Monday night, and Bengals on Sunday against the Falcons on the money line, -128 for that parlay, 2 units on that one. We're running it back. Patriots -2.5 against the Bears, parlayed with Jets Broncos under 43.5 alternate line. Not going to be a lot of touchdowns scored in that game. Both teams struggle in the red zone. It's going to be an ugly matchup. I think probably you take the Jets with the points and the under if you were looking at the straight lines, but you got to take the under in this game and just fade Russell Wilson and the Jets' ability to score touchdowns. Defensive touchdowns will scare me in this one if that happens, but I feel confident in that under. So we're parlaying the 2 of those together at -120. 2 more units. You see how heavy we are on the Patriots. We're going for another one. Patriots -2.5 against the Bears, and Dolphins money line against the Steelers. Steelers burned me last week. We don't talk about Bruno. They're not doing it again. First of all, Trubisky looked great against a heavy blitz team in the Bucs. Now, Trubisky isn't great. We get that. Dolphins are also a heavy blitz team, and yet the Steelers are going back to pick it. So that's weird. I feel even better about it. Tua comes back. Dolphins' offense is better than the Steelers by a country mile. Why is it a country mile? State mile is fine. And there's just no reason the Dolphins' defense shouldn't be able to handle the Steelers' offense. The Steelers, if this isn't a letdown spot, I don't know what to say. So minus 145 on that parlay, 2 more units. So far, we have 6 units on the Patriots parlayed with a bunch of different teams to minimize the risk. Now we're going Patriots by themselves, but we're not doing the 7.5. We're doing 13.5. Alternate line, move it up, plus 164. Patriots minus 13.5 against the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to score. They're not going to score the football. It's going to be field goals. This feels like 17-3 at halftime and then 24-3 at the end of the third. Bears might get a touchdown here late. I don't see why the Patriots wouldn't cover. Mac Jones, Zappy, you could throw Hoyer in there. I don't care. This is a bet on Belichick against Fields. Fields can't complete passes. Patriots minus 13.5, plus 164, 1 unit. So we're up to 7 units on the Pats, combined with a whole bunch of other stuff. That is our anchor team. We move away from them for the rest of the picks. But those Pats better take care of business. God, if I bet on the Patriots and they lose, after betting on Brady and he loses, not going to be a happy camper in the Week 8 video. But we're moving up. Next pick, Lions plus 7 at the Cowboys. Dak is back. I get it. It rhymes. Cool. Cowboys defense is good. Lions offense is really good. Amon-Ra St. Brown is back. Swift should be back. They might get DJ Chark back. I don't know about that, but their wide receiver core is good. Their offense can score. Their defense is bad. It is a problem, but I think 7 is a little bit too much. I think this line probably should have been 6, and so if I'm getting the key number of 7, I'm going to take it at minus 110, keeping that one by itself just in case the Lions become the Lions. But I do like Lions plus 7 against the Cowboys. I think that my Cowboys might win, but you could backdoor with the Lions. And Cowboys, I mean, Mike McCarthy, not a good coach. This seems like a potential spot where they should smash, but they don't. So give me the Lions plus 7, 1 unit, minus 110. We're also taking by itself Colts plus 3.5 at the Titans. I've been saying for weeks, I think the Titans are a fraudulent team. I don't believe in them. I think the Colts, they're weird, man. Taylor looks like he's practicing in full. He should play. That's a big boost. At least the running back battle matches up with each other. Matt Ryan looked awesome last week, which I couldn't believe. We did have the Jaguars in that game, and we covered on an alternate line, thank God. But they did beat up on the Jaguars, who I think are good. And I think this line is a little too much. To me, Colts at Titans should be, I mean, it is 2.5, and we're taking an alternate line at plus 3.5 at minus 132, putting 1 unit on it. But I do think this line is closer to a pick 'em. I think the Colts are the better team, and the Titans are on their way down over the past 12 months or so. I just don't see it getting a lot better. Henry hasn't really scared me. This Colts defense is getting healthier, and I just think this is a field goal game, and if I can get the team plus 3.5, who I actually think is the better team, road team or not, I'm taking it. So Colts plus 3.5. Hopefully Matt Ryan doesn't implode and keeps up his good play. Minus 132, 1 unit. We're throwing a parlay out there. We're getting weird. You got to switch it up a little bit, right? You got to do some things that everyone would look at and go, really? Is this worth the odds? I think it is. So we're taking Lions plus 14.5. We talked about that game. Jaguars plus 7.5 against the Giants. That's a huge alternate line. They are favorites in that game, and I think they should take care of business. But if they don't, they are surely not going to lose by a touchdown to the Giants at home. And then the Raiders money line against the Texans. That's a big 7-point spread. Do I need to say a lot? Texans aren't very good. Raiders are looking to bounce back. Adams is fine. Waller won't play in that game, but he never plays. I think the Raiders are just better, and Max Crosby should eat the Texans alive on the offensive line. And then Jets plus 14.5 against the Broncos. I don't see a world where the Broncos beat anyone by more than 2 touchdowns. You parlay the 4 of those together, plus 147. The odds are not great to hit 4 things. I get it. But 1 unit on that because I don't know who's going to let us down there. I think that one's pretty straightforward. I just don't want to overexpose because it's 4 teams. Last one, underdog parlay of the week. We've been coming so close to hitting these. We hit 1 or 2. Half a unit on this one. I'm taking the Commanders money line home against the Packers. This is just an odds thing. I mean, the Packers are better. I get it. And Commanders backup quarterback from a quarterback that should already be a backup probably. But I just don't see why the Packers should be road favorites of 4.5 against any team in the NFL currently. They haven't looked good. They lost in back-to-back weeks to the Jets and the Giants. Are they going to lose 3 games in a row to mediocre teams? I don't know. But I'm not to the point where Aaron Rodgers throwing to nobody needs to be a 4.5-point favorite on the road. So I'm not going to do that. And I'll take the Commanders, and I'll parlay it with the Colts money line against the Titans, which we just talked about. And you get plus 539 for that. Give me the underdog parlay, half a unit on that one, which brings us to our 10.5 units. Here we go. We got to get back into the black. We would be super profitable if not for Tom Brady being an asshole. And he is. There's nothing we can do about it. Deep fantasy options before we get to the UFC stuff. If you're desperate, if you're injured, if you're in a deep league, these guys can help you. Quarterback, Jimmy G against Kansas City. We've been saying for weeks, stash that. They'll be playing from behind. They'll be throwing. They'll need to go down the field. Kansas City isn't anything to write home about on defense. I think that's an option for you. Geno Smith against the Chargers. He's been nothing but good and efficient. And this Chargers defense is a little bit banged up, and I think he can at least score the ball in a game where he's probably behind also. Last one is Marcus Mariota at Cincinnati. He's the least favorite of the three, but man, you look at the game log. Every week, he seems to be fine. He makes one bad mistake generally, and they lose because of it and cover. And we don't care about that in fantasy football, so he's probably going to throw up 20 for you. Any of those three, I think, are plug and play. You should be fine with them, and if you can get anyone a better, then do that. But if you're desperate, I think those guys are worth it. Running back, I think Rex Burkhead against Vegas is going to catch passes. I know that he is not the starter by any means and is down the depth chart because Pierce has been awesome. But he is in there in third down, and they do seem to trust him. And you can sneak in a 10-point day with Rex Burkhead at any point. So I don't think that's terrible. I think Latavius Murray against the Jets is worth having on your roster. I wouldn't start him, but Gordon, some rumblings there. He's not happy. No one should be happy on the Broncos, but they're exploring trades. I heard some Judy stuff. I heard some Gordon stuff. If for some reason Gordon gets traded, Latavius Murray is going to be a bell cow. Maybe it's not on the sexiest team, but you take a starting running back anytime you can get him at this point in the season, especially this year. So worth a look. Real dart throw. We're looking at a fullback. Kyle Juszczyk against Kansas City. He's good for 1 to 2 amazing plays every game for San Francisco, and they seem to be moving away from Jeff Wilson a little bit and mixing and matching. And I just, some kind of feeling I got where he's going to catch a screen pass and go 40 yards with it. He's good. He's better in real life than he is in fantasy. I'm not saying he's going to be your savior, but if you're really ultra desperate, I don't know. I just got a feeling. Call me crazy. Wide receiver, Elijah Moore on the Jets. Requesting a trade, unhappy with his usage. I get it, but they completed 10 passes last week, and the team is actually winning. You play for the Jets, and they're winning, and now you complain? Don't understand. Worth stashing in case he does actually get traded. And he did look pretty good with Zach Wilson last year, so maybe there's a breakout still coming here, but there's unhappiness there, and if he goes to the right place, he is really talented. Definitely don't start him this week, but if you want to stash him on the end of your bench, I kind of get it. And the other one that is mostly also a stash, unless he does play, which is possible, DJ Chark. I mentioned him before. Lions' passing offense has been pretty good. If the attention from the really good starting corners is on St. Brown, which it will be, Chark is more than capable of being someone who can hurt you as a second receiver against your lesser corners. And whenever he does play, he's worth owning. So he's available in a little too many leagues, and I think it's worth getting him in advance. Tight end, it's tough out there. I'm starting Noah Fant in one of my leagues because Higbee is on a bye. I don't feel great about it. I just feel like he's so talented, and Geno does like to check down. He's due for a big week. It has to be coming. Greg Dulcich against the Jets. I know Russell Wilson likes his tight ends. He does. This guy's a rookie. Albert O doesn't seem to be playing anymore at all. So Dulcich is actually a guy that's starting tight end for a quarterback that historically likes his tight ends but just hasn't been very good lately. If anything turns it around for Russ, Dulcich is a guy that you could see actually putting up decent numbers. Bellinger on the Giants. The Giants have no receivers. None. And Bellinger might not be the most talented guy, but he's got to throw to somebody. Against Jacksonville, might be worth a dart throw. And the last one, kind of like the Elijah Moore situation, although a little bit more useful in the interim, Mike Gesicki against Pittsburgh. They might be looking to trade Gesicki. They have those two receivers that they really like. I don't think they're using the tight end as a pass catcher as much as they want to. And they realize they have a pass-catching tight end who could be more useful for somebody else. So if he lands in the right spot, it could be nice for you. Put him on the bench. Maybe you find a trade there. If not, you drop him next week. No big deal. Defenses, Raiders against Houston. Houston's bad. It just is what it is. And Jaguars against the Giants. Vegas is telling me Jaguars -3 has not budged. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to 3.5, despite the success the Giants have had. I just think Daniel Jones is due for a game where he fumbles and throws an interception. And this Jaguars defense has underperformed, but I actually think they're pretty good. In a pinch, I think they're worth starting at home when the line is telling you that the Jaguars are the better team here. It wouldn't shock me. Let's get to UFC 280. We haven't done a UFC video in a while. I love this card for watching purposes more than anything. But there are some dogs that are barking on this card, and I wanted to call them out. And I'm putting 5.25 units on this card overall. We're not going absolutely crazy, but it's worth having some action on these dogs because if a couple of them hit, you're going to have a profitable week. Also, it's just great to bet the UFC. I keep saying basketball is my most profitable sport. And we've started pretty good. If you check out @MikeTheMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram, I've been sharing some daily basketball picks there. And we did the season-long picks. You can find it on the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. But UFC, actually, over the past 12 months, is my most profitable sport. It's just not one of the core four, so it's a little less sexy to call out. It's going to be a big card. It's a daytime card on Saturday. It's in a different cage, so we got to keep that in mind. But these are the fights that I like. Belal Muhammad is an underdog against Sean Brady. Sean Brady's undefeated. No MMA losses. I get it. But he hasn't faced anyone the likes of Belal Muhammad. And I'm big on opponent's strength of schedule type of stuff in the UFC. When you've been in the cage with tough guys like Belal has been in and won some of those fights. I mean, I know he lost to Jeff Neal, but Jeff Neal is pretty good. Hands of steel for a reason. Belal is just more well-rounded. I've seen better striking out of him than Brady, probably. Brady's kind of the kind of guy that's going to push him up against the cage and try to just stall, lay and pray kind of stuff, but on the feet. And I don't think Belal's going to let him do that. He has really good balance. He has good wrestling, striking. He's just well-rounded. And I like getting plus 114 with Belal Muhammad. I think he should be a favorite in this fight. I think the hype on Brady is driving this the other way, and I get it. I bought his rookie card. I do like Brady, and I think this is a great fight. And I'll just take the underdog in a fight that seems pretty even. So 1 unit on Belal Muhammad. I'm also taking Caitlin Chookagian by decision because she's never knocked out anyone in her career. She's a point fighter. Ha, 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 you know? Plus 250 against Manon Fiorot. Everyone has better power than Chookagian does. But she's a little bit of a problem. She reminds me of an even less powerful and probably less decorated Stephen Thompson, Wonder Boy. They have the karate style. They really can strike. And I think for a lot of this fight, you're going to go, okay, when is she going to get knocked out? Fiorot is going to blitz forward with much more power. She might get the knockout. But at plus 250, the only way Chookagian is going to win is by decision. So I'm basically, in my head, I'm getting her money line, basically, at plus 250. So put her in at decision, and if Fiorot doesn't land the knockout, I think it's going to be a lot of points for Chookagian, and sometimes the judges like to give it to her. She's a decision machine. 1 unit on that one. I really like that. Another dog, Beneil Dariush, plus 162 money line against Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot's good. He had that really tough fight last time out against Sarukian, and that fight was amazing. But I do think Dariush has had a bigger body of work in the UFC. I know Gamrot has had some good fights outside of the UFC. I just think these odds are wonky. Plus 162 on Dariush doesn't seem to make sense to me. And this is kind of the opposite of the fight that I just outlined. Gamrot is probably going to stay closer to the outside and strike from further away, and Dariush is going to have to blitz forward. But one thing I do know about Dariush, he might take a hit. He's coming forward. He is going to take the fight to you. And Gamrot is probably a better wrestler, so maybe he clinches him up and stifles Dariush's striking on the inside that way. But I've seen Dariush get knockouts in close, and I just have a feeling that this fight will be a lot closer than a plus 162 odd will offer you. So give me Dariush at plus 162, 1 unit on that one. We're not going crazy on any of these. The one that I really like, I'm a Long Island guy. So is this guy. He holds the belt and gets no respect. Aljamain Sterling. I took Peter Yan in that last fight, and I was dead wrong, and it really impressed me. And I think Sterling is now entering a spot where he knows he's so confident. He's in a great spot. Mentally, physically, he's always in a great spot. His skills were always there, but mentally, he has the confidence that I think will get him over the hump in this fight against TJ Dillashaw, who nobody really likes. And by the way, I think TJ Dillashaw has left some athleticism behind him. I don't think we've seen it yet, but the fight that he won was a lot of stalling against the cage. He's a good wrestler. His striking is probably not any better than Sterling's, and his submission game is nowhere near Sterling's. I don't know if Sterling wants to go to the mat, but you're going to see a spot at some point in this fight where Dillashaw forces the issue, starts to wrestle, and Sterling takes the back. He's going to get his back. In a 5-round fight, he's getting there. He's the human backpack for a reason. Him and Charlie Olives, we'll get to him in a second. Once they get your back, I need Dillashaw to prove to me that he can get Sterling off of his back, and I don't know if that's the case. So I think there's a world where Sterling wins this by sub, and I think he could win a decision too if Dillashaw's athleticism just isn't what it used to be. I think that's entirely possible in a return to bantamweight. And you can get the double chance bet on Sterling, submission or decision. He's probably not going to knock out Dillashaw. Minus 155, so it fixes the odds a little bit. Sterling is generally floating around minus 175, so I'll take it because I don't think the knockout is going to happen. Sterling by submission or decision, minus 155. Nobody likes Dillashaw. Give me a break. He hasn't had a fight after the EPO layoff that has made me go, oh my God, this is amazing. And by the way, he got surgery after his last fight. No one's talking about this. Sterling, favorite for a reason. I think this is his crowning moment where he really proves I can beat anybody in this division. Don't question me again. Minus 155, 1 unit. The main event, Charles Oliveira against Islam Makhachev. I know you don't doubt Dagestani fighters. I know Khabib is in his corner. I get all of it. But you know what you wouldn't be profitable doing over the past few years? Betting against Charles Oliveira. He's one of my favorite fighters. He is amazing. Talk about a guy that if he gets your back, it's really impossible to get him off. This is an interesting one because Makhachev is going to want to go to the ground. And so does Oliveira. And Oliveira on his back is still a problem. And Makhachev on the top is a huge problem. I don't know. Something's got to give. We'll see if Makhachev can just rain down blows and control Oliveira and avoid him throwing up a triangle or some submission from the bottom or reversing. But I just don't doubt Charles Oliveira anymore. I won't do it. His striking is better than Makhachev's, if you ask me, and has improved a ton. It does concern me that he gets hurt in every single fight, but it does give you confidence that he can come back even if he's hurt. Now, if he takes a shot, goes down, and then Islam pounces on him, it's not a good look. But if he reverses that and gets good position on Islam, I think he can get the sub. He can sub anybody. This guy's the finishing king, and I'm getting him at plus 140. He's the champ. Islam has fought a lot of guys, no one to this level. Oliveira has fought everybody and beaten them. It's a far cry when Oliveira used to have weaknesses. I just don't see that many anymore. He gets touched. He gets hit. I don't think Islam is going to put you out with one shot. And so if you want to take him to the ground, I'll take my chances on the ground with Oliveira. Plus 140. I'm only putting 1 unit on it, but I want him to win. Maybe I'm betting with my heart rather than my head, but I'm not buying into the hype just yet. The champ at plus 140 just feels good. And I'm getting a lot of these narrow dogs. And I just think even if these fights are 50-50, we're getting good odds to the point where if we hit 3 out of 5, we're going to profit plenty. So that's 5 units. And then we parlay them all together for a quarter of a unit. 5.25 units. That parlay is Bilal Muhammad moneyline, Caitlin Chikagian moneyline, Benil Dariush moneyline, Aljamain Sterling moneyline, Charles Oliveira moneyline, plus 55.27. Quarter of a unit. What's going to happen? What if we sweep? We're looking good, baby. We are plus 105 units on the year. This video went longer than some of them do, but we're combining things. We're moving it all around. Like and subscribe when it hits. We know that it's going to. You're going to profit this week. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. We don't talk about Bruno, and we don't talk about Tom Brady. We would have profited last week. I promise you we would have. At MikeTheMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram for more picks, some daily stuff, some things that I find later after the video that I really like, player props, some basketball stuff. There's more videos coming at least once a week. Like and subscribe. Tell your mom, tell your friends. Talk to your dog and say, listen, we can listen to this together. I know it doesn't count as 2 views on YouTube, but it's important to have companionship. We'll see you next week. Good luck. Peace out.